Isn't your life itself just a long tale that tells you, here are all the wrong answers to be taken for a problem? You know, if you were to write your life, so your biography, if you were to write down your autobiography and you went back and read the pages, every time you had a problem and the answers you took to those problems, how much of it would you be proud today, and how many of those pages would you actually publish as a book? Now that you have listened to the Dhamma, now that you have learned and listened to the Dhamma, how many of you would be happy to actually publish your life story? If in that book you had to make public every time you had a problem and the solutions you took to resolve those problems. I certainly wouldn't do it if it was down to me and my lay life. I wouldn't do it. Because in those pages will be things like this. I felt lonely at this point in my life, so I thought I should get myself a girlfriend. That's not a story worth telling. That's not a story worth telling. Because, if that was the story I told, the title of this book could be A Fool's Guide to Life. I was bored, so I thought I'd get myself a TV. I was bored, so I thought I'd go watch a movie. I was bored, so I thought I'd go and party with my friends. Each of those things, ladies and gentlemen, are the wrong answers. You know that they're the wrong answers because you've done it time and time and time again. And every single time, you are still back where you started. If there's a path that takes you back where you started, what do you call that path? It's a very simple question. It's not rocket science, come on. A path that takes you back where you started, what's it called? What's it called? A circle. When you think of samsara, what shape comes to mind? A circle. Why? Why? Because it's a dog chasing its own tail. That's why. If there's a path that takes you back where you started, then you're taking the wrong path to solve a problem. The right path should look something like this. Here's a problem. Here's a solution. But look at this path. Look at this path that you've taken. See, I'm bored. So what do? I call my friends. I ring a friend. And then they say, okay, what shall we do? I've got the day free. How about you? I've got the day free as well. Well, let's go watch a movie. All right, good. Let's go watch a movie. So you go watch a movie. And then once the movie comes to an end, then they say, you're still bored because now the movie's come to an end. Shall we get something to eat? Yeah, let's go grab something to eat. So you go grab something to eat. So once you grab something to eat, then they say, well, what shall we do now? Well, shall we go home? Go to your place? Yeah, sure, let's go to my place. We'll go to your place. So what do we do now? Because you have to do something because you're bored. Right? So what shall we do now? Well, shall we invite a few others to come over? Yeah, sure, let's do that. Let's invite a few others to come over. So you've invited a few others to come over. So once they're over, now you have to greet them, you have to entertain them. So let's get some food, some drinks, whatever, right? And then, so of course the day's coming to an end. Everyone has to go back home. Tomorrow's a work day. So then they all go back home. And you're back where? You're back where you started, because you're lonely again. So you're lonely again. So the following day, what must you do? Lonely? Bring some friends, go watch a movie, grab something to eat, come home with your mates, invite the rest of them around, then greet them, treat them, and then they go home again, and you're lonely. You tell me, how many times have you invited your friends around? Throughout your life? Countless times. I mean, you can't count them on the fingers of your hands. Countless times you've invited your friends over. You invited them over because you wanted their companionship. Right? You were bored, you were lonely. It was nice to have them around, exchange niceties, talk with them, have some food together, and then they go back, and then you're lonely again. See, you can keep doing this until your friends are interested in you. This is why I gave a warning to the parents in the room last week. You can do this until your friends are interested in you, and then as your peers start to age and then they can't get themselves out of their homes, you'll be at the mercy of your children. And then when your children are too busy to come and see you because they have their own parties to go to, then you'll just be a lonely old granny or a lonely old granddad. And then there'll just be the two of you. That's why in most homes, when the children have lived with the parents and then they've left their home, just the two people remaining. When one dies, the other one soon follows. Why? What happens? It kills them inside. Because now boredom takes over. Then they start getting depressed. The will to live is lost. And that's not because, people say that's because they were so much in love, they just couldn't live without each other. That's not what it is. We've talked about what love is in the past. It's only a creation of your own mind. You don't know whether someone loves you or not. You're just an island. Remember? We talked about this. How can you tell whether someone loves you or not? How much does someone love you? How can you tell? Does your husband love you? Does your wife love you? How can you tell? That's why you have to go ask them, do you love me? Why do you have to ask if you can tell whether they love you or not? Love is basically an emotion that you have to create in your own mind. So you take evidence that you believe is evidence of love, right? And then you create it in your own mind. So you cook it up in your own mind. But what I'm saying, that this is why when a pair lives together and the children have left their home, then usually what happens is once one passes away, the other soon follows suit. It's because internally they begin to die. And the minds are looking for that companionship, that spark that kept them going, and then now it's gone, and so therefore they just can't do it anymore. So you see, this is the wrong solution to a problem, to a real life problem. Wrong solution.